every horror title to hit VOD, there are going to be countless others that end up DOA. Development Hell is a podcast dedicated to unearthing these plagued horror productions to find out what went wrong and if they still got a shot at the green light. So, okay, I might as well just jump in and start us off by saying, hi, I'm Josh Korngut. I am the host of this podcast, and I'm a filmmaker in Toronto. Today's episode is going to be all about Alien 5. Now, I was going to call it Neill Blomkamp's Alien 5, but we're also going to dig into like the other iterations of Alien 5 that existed since 1997, which are cool. I'm here with a super special guest today. His name's Joe Lipsett. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. My name is, Joe Lipsett. I'm the co-host of Horror Queers, and I write about horror in a bunch of different places.
Cool. Joe has been the mentor on this podcast, so he's been really helping me out. Basically just helping me realize that it's not that hard to make a podcast and you just kind of have to do it. I am excited to talk to you today about Alien 5. I'm not going to lie to you. Would I have picked Alien 5 myself? Probably not. But okay. I'm really glad that you did. Because I've really gone down the Alien 5 rabbit hole and there's so much drama and there's so many characters that I wasn't expecting to encounter along the way. I have so much to say, so I'm excited. What's your personal first experience with the Alien franchise?
So I'm a big Alien fan. It's the reason why I asked if I could come on this particular episode. I'm a really big fan of this franchise, and not even I really, really like Alien and Aliens and the other ones were okay. I actually really, I love Alien 3.
Okay,
I'm a decent fan of Resurrection. I think it has flaws, but I think it's a really fascinating film. And then I'll confess the ones that I don't really love are the Alien versus Predator films, just because they're a little too actiony for me. I like the science fiction element less than the action. Even the prequels, like Prometheus and Covenant, I'm a relatively decent fan of them.
Okay, interesting. I have not seen Covenant, so that's a disclosure right now.
Okay.
But Prometheus, very interesting take on the Alien universe, and I'm excited for us to get there. One of my first impressions with Alien is I guess they got that 1999 20th anniversary DVD when it came out, and that DVD menu blew my mind. I don't know if you remember it. It was alien ship, and it was very CGI animated. I thought it was wow, this is the future of movies. Also, it scared the shit out of me, that first movie, as a kid.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, I know a lot of people will say, oh, it's a hallmark of the science fiction genre, but for a lot of people, it's also just a quintessential horror, haunted house film in space.
I like that you call it a haunted house movie in space. That's accurate. Yeah, it's controversial, this whole sci-fi horror war that's going on, when obviously it can be both. So I didn't come to really appreciate sci-fi till university, when I had to take a sci-fi literature course. And I was okay, so this stuff can be very heady and very mind-blowing.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm here for it all the way. I think I just I'm a horror person, obviously, so I at the end of the day, if you're going to give me genre, please just give me horror.
Yeah, and where the two genres blur, you can often get some of the most weird, unsettling, visually compelling films. You said that first movie was really visually great, right? Science fiction is so fantastic. It's showing you what the future can look like, but it can also show you how shitty and dingy the future can look. And I love the tension between retro futuristic and just regular future, and the kind of grittiness that has infiltrated through the Alien franchise is that everything looks advanced, but it always kind of looks shitty because it's following blue collar workers.
And you're seeing that in the third one very heavily when they're on that prison too. I like the third one. I go around and I tell people that it's one of my favorites, even though I don't remember it well at all. But I definitely am an apologist for the third film. I should rewatch it just in case it's problematic and I need to recall on why. I like the fourth film too, so I'm happy to hear that you don't hate Alien Resurrection.
Yeah, no, there's lots of good stuff in there that I think people are just willing to to dismiss outright.
It's a confusing tone. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Like the art, like the screenwriter and the director that they got together was like, it's a bizarre combo.
It is.
Quintessentially 90s, but very bizarre.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's all about co-opting adventurous directors, particularly if they're from other countries. It's like, lure them in with lots of money, let them make a blockbuster, but also don't let them do anything.
Yeah, it's, that poor guy was probably so confused the whole time. He just wanted to make Amelie. But then if you're giving me $70 million, I guess I'll make Alien Resurrection. That's
exactly. I mean, you're not going to say no to that kind of money. Let's be real.
No, I wouldn't say no to like $30,000 to make Critters 5.
Oh, Josh, no, come on.
Would you, if someone gave you $30,000 to direct Critters 5, you would say no? Come on.
I don't know about Critters.
I haven't seen Critters 1. I'm going to be like Ronnie Yu, who like never saw a single Nightmare on Elm Street or a Freddy movie. And then I'm going to knock it out of the park. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I like this for you. I like it.
Thank you. So yeah, so if you had to say like what your least favorite of the franchise, would you say Resurrection? Or would you say one of the newer ones?
I probably rewatch Resurrection the least, but if I'm allowed to pick an Alien versus Predator, I'm going to pick Alien versus Predator Requiem, just because I think that film is actually ambitious, but it doesn't have the production budget, so it just looks like you're watching a dark screen because they can't afford lights.
It had a pretty decent poster, though.
It does.
So I'm going to give it that.
Yeah. Shout out to the art department, right?
Shout out to that art department. The first, I don't hate the first movie. I definitely saw it when I was 12, so who's to say what I know? But it's so stupid fun. They could have made it like, can you make an Alien versus Predator movie not stupid? I'm not sure. Maybe not.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the people who really enjoy the Predator films would probably have a bone to pick, but I think the intersection can often lead to camp.
Obviously, Freddy vs. Jason was going to be camp because those franchises are camp, but I can't speak for the Predator franchise. I know I'm like not exactly well versed with it.
Yeah.
Only seen the first one. Are you a Predator person?
No, I'm 100% an Alien person, but I've seen... Actually, you know what? I've seen all of them except for the first remake, the one with Adrian Brody.
Oh, Predators.
Yeah. Okay. Never saw that one.
That's old now. That's like from 2010. I was researching, right? And I was like, what the hell? Did you hear there's like a secret new one in the works?
Yes. Predator? Yeah. Just a couple days ago they announced. We'll see if it comes together. If not, you could just do a future episode.
I'm really trying to find ones like projects by women directors that fell through the cracks. So if you can think of any, please send them my way, because I'm having a hard time with Google.
Well, I mean, I can tell you why you're having a hard time. It's because they tend to give films for women one chance. So like a woman will get an opportunity to make a film, and then it's like, okay, if you didn't succeed, that's it. That's
you're
like
in jail forever, Rachel Taylor. I'm sorry. Yeah,
and even like Mary fucking Lambert, it's insane.
Pet Sematary, of course. And this is like a Madonna icon. How dare you not give her a full career? Although Pet Sematary 2, pretty good.
Well, and that's the thing. Like she made that. It didn't make enough money to them, even though it did very well. And then she couldn't get movie work for decades.
Oh, yeah. They're just looking for an excuse to throw women out to sea. Fine.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give everyone like a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about, so they're not super lost and confused. So in the episode breakdown today, we're going to be talking about the Alien Resurrection era and how that leads towards Alien 5. We're going to give a brief history of Alien 5 back in the 90s. We're going to talk about Neill Blomkamp and his Alien 5 moment that never happened but really should have. We're going to talk about why it didn't happen and decide at the end of the day if it could. So I'm going to let Joe start us off and tell us a little bit about the Alien Resurrection era and how that led us to where we are today.
This is fascinating. You put a lot of this together, and I read it through kind of like a weird oral history, and it's really, you look at the possibilities that could have been. Like, I didn't realize that the first choice for Alien 4 was actually Danny Boyle, and that would have been absolutely amazing. Like, director of Sunshine, director of 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
Danny Boyle seems like an unorthodox choice, but this if you think about the Alien films, they often had that, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody would have gone with Jean-Pierre Jeunet as a first choice, and
Would have been
yet
weird.
he got that gig, right?
I'm
So
glad for him, yeah.
yeah, so Danny Boyle was on the way up, and they wanted him, and he said no. So it was actually his decision not to proceed. And then the same thing happened with Peter Jackson, who would have again been a fascinating choice, but I think inherently wrong for the material.
Oh, why?
I mean, I'm thinking of where he was in the mid '90s, and
Okay.
he would have just been either. I'm trying to remember my history, but he would have been coming off the Frighteners or going into it at this time.
I think that was 96. But who knows when he was making that? That's true. Such a good
Right.
movie, my God.
Yeah, it's great. But if you think about like tonally shifting from funny ghosts, well, actually, you know what? Maybe we would have gotten the exact same movie if you think about it.
Yeah, people would have hated it, but it would have been good.
And maybe a better relationship with the cast, because of course that was
Oh,
a
yeah.
contentious point. We'll get there.
Although, what was that movie he made with Kate Winslet? Heavenly Creatures?
Mhm.
I'm obsessed with it.
Oh,
all I
of
have to
course.
say. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so Danny Boyle, no. Peter
Mhm.
Jackson, no.
Bye.
And then at this point, the usual suspects had just broken big. So they approached Bryan Singer and they were turned down again. And we should at this point acknowledge the weirdness in the room. Of course, we had to talk about Bryan Singer, even though we don't want to. Okay, so enter the picture the person who ultimately ended up making Alien Resurrection, Jean-Pierre Jeunet. So he is a French director. He ultimately decided to make it even though he believed that the franchise was done. Because, of course, Alien 3 ends pretty definitively, and it
Mhm.
did not get a happy reception. Like, fans were pissed.
That she died? That's why people were mad?
That was it, which is funny
Oh.
because, like, it was Sigourney Weaver's decision. She was
Wow,
like, I'm
respect
done,
the Weave.
thanks.
Come on. Yeah, she has a lot of, like, firm, hard opinions about this franchise. I kind of feel like she's kind of in charge in a way, and I like it.
Oh, yeah, which I think is actually going to be very important to our discussion about how 5 did and didn't come together. Like,
Mhm.
it all kind of ends up coming down to whether Sigourney says yes to things.
Yeah, fuck you, Joss Whedon, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, another new problematic fave. So
I know. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So Jean-Pierre Jeunet, he had made a couple of very well received, but very grim, almost like steampunky, not commercially successful, like in the way that we would expect a promising Hollywood director to be. So he had made Delicatessen and The City of Lost Children.
Okay. I love these movies. My French teacher showed us Delicatessen in grade 9.
Oh,
And I was like, why are you...
no, that is inappropriate.
But it was... he was a wild character. But that movie is bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like... And aesthetically so... like grotesque and gorgeous and so French just on every level.
Very French, yeah. And then City of Lost Children is amazing. I would honestly say it's probably one of the hallmarks of French cinema. Like Delicatessen is the one that really gets them on the map, but I think The City of Lost Children is the one where you're like, if you're an art film person, you have this poster up on your wall.
Ron Perlman?
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to a podcast about Lou Pearlman today, and I almost made that. Do you know who Lou Pearlman is? Is the manager of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
Right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is a different wild disconnect. Yeah.
Yeah. What an icon, though. Hellboy, I'm obsessed with him. So
yeah. It's really good, but it's. I mean, visually, like aesthetically, you can see the genesis of a lot of resurrection in both of these other films, but. Yeah. I just can't imagine that you look at those movies and say, yes, let's give this gentleman $70 million.
Yeah, it just wasn't successful at the end of the day because people weren't into it. But if you look at this movie after having seen Delicatessen or City of Lost Children, it definitely makes sense. I think if you go in without knowing about his resume, it just kind of seems, I don't know, maybe even kind of cheap. The aesthetic doesn't makes sense unless you sort of know who you're dealing with.
Yeah, and I think particularly when you look at this as the fourth film in this quadrilogy up to this point, right? Like the first one is so cold and sterile, and then the second one's a war movie, so really like you're not spending as much time on ships. The third film is set on a prison planet, so it would make sense that it's not, great, like visually speaking. And then this one is like, yeah, they're a bit of a ragtag bunch, but they're still camping out inside a government ship. And it still has that kind of gritty, grimy feel to it, but not in a like, oh, it's run down, it's run by blue collar workers. It's like, oh, this is just shit.
Tell me if you agree with this at all. Does it kind of like almost feel a little bit Canadian 90s in a way?
Yes, it's
Oh my
giving me
God, thank
Johnny
you.
Mnemonic vibes and Screamers vibes.
Yes. Or like Vincenzo Natali vibes, kind
Oh
of.
yeah, a little cubish.
Yeah, which is one of my faves.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we like to talk about how Canadian film doesn't really have an identity, but I think like in the 90s it did, and the identity was weird, kind of dark, and like didn't, and like maybe a little surreal. So
and like B movie Hollywood as well.
Yes.
Like we really want to make money, but we don't have the budget, but we're gonna try our fucking best.
Which it's okay. I have a lot to say about Canadian film, I guess, for the first time in my life. Okay.
No, you should be a proud Canadian. Come on.
Thank you. I'm gonna try. Okay.
So Jeanette basically, like, I think we can both agree he probably made this movie because he was like, I can make enough dough off of this deal to go back and make my passion project, which is Amelie, which is another like defining film from France. Yeah, it's really good. I actually love Amelie. It's one of the films that got me into foreign films.
It's so good. Every once in a while, I confuse it with Chocolat, which I don't like at all. But then I remember, Amelie is so good.
Yes.
But yeah, not the right guy to get this movie. Sorry.
No, and the biggest problem was that he did not speak English. And this doesn't have to be a sticking point on films, but in this case, there was something about having to use an on-set translator that did not translate well.
So funny. Have you seen the Troll 2 documentary, best source movie?
I know of it, and I haven't seen it.
Okay, I recommend it, but one of the big issues with that movie was that all the filmmakers didn't speak English.
Oh, God.
And all of the actors didn't speak Italian.
Right.
So it was like a script going through Google Translate, and I can kind of see the same thing happening here.
Yeah, I can't imagine trying to convey an artistic vision. Like, it's different if you're saying, okay, I need more from this performance, but like when you're trying to rally an entire set with crew and like, this is not a small enterprise. This isn't a little film. I just can't imagine needing that extra step of saying, okay, now I need to make sure I tell this person exactly what I want so they can change the language and repeat it. Like, that's a bad game of telephone.
Oh my God. And set is already such a stressful, intense place. I can't imagine that helped.
Right. You would know way better than I would. You're a natural filmmaker.
Oh, no, thank you.
I mean, they did have a script from, at the time, a bit of a wonder kid named Joss Whedon.
Wow.
Yeah, who at the time we would have loved, and now we don't love quite as much.
Yeah, it's complicated. Very complicated.
Very complicated now.
Actually, so I know that there's been, over the last, 5 years, slowly but surely, there's been some bad news erupting about him. But I don't exactly know what the latest one is. Can you help me?
I mean,
what went down?
So the latest one is that he was exhibiting racist behaviors to the people of color when he redirected Batman versus Superman after Zack Snyder left.
Oh God, that poor movie.
I
haven't seen it, but it just sounds like a lot of bad stuff was happening to it.
It was a troubled production. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so racism issues. That's very disappointing.
Yeah, which is like on top of then the misogynistic accusations that have trailed him in the wake of his divorce from his former wife.
Someone I always forget was involved with the Alien franchise. And this was like when Buffy was just starting to come around.
It would have been in development, if not yet in production. Yeah, because he was actively working as a screenwriter. Like he did, if I'm not mistaken, a pass on Toy Story and like a couple of other things.
I feel like also maybe Stuart Little, but I could have invented that.
I know for sure that Forbidden Planet Disney animated one. But yeah, like he was behind some of these films that were obviously quite commercial, and he had It's Joss Whedon, so he had a good ear for dialogue. So he ultimately is not impressed with the way that this movie turned out. And he's gone on the record multiple times talking about how much he is disappointed in the final product.
Oh yeah, he's brutal about it. Have you read any of his statements on this film? Because it's rough.
Yeah, I mean, I know for sure that he was unhappy with that third act, and it had a very different ending. Apparently, the ship was actually supposed to crash on Earth, and the whole climax was going to take place there. But I just think he feels like he gave them gold, and they turned it into, I don't know,
pewter.
Yeah, I was like, what's really bad? What's a bad metal? Nickel?
Actually, pewter's good. I take it back. It's it's fancy. Yeah. I feel like he was pissed about this film altogether, and he seemed like he was pretty obsessed with taking the Alien franchise to Earth, and I don't think that other people were as obsessed with taking the franchise to Earth. Sigourney Weaver being one of those people.
Well, it's tricky, right? Because at the end of the day, they thought the franchise was dead, and then they made this one, and clearly were looking at the possibility of doing more.
Right away.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that Joss Whedon is annoyed with is that he gave them the opportunity to finally bring the franchise to Earth, which is something that fans had been clamoring for.
Oh, really? Okay. I was like, what's with...
Oh,
okay.
You mean fans because it's the most boring creative decision that any screenwriter could make? Yeah.
I mean, Earth is fine.
And as a sidebar, of course, if you want to see how that turns out, literally watch the Alien versus Predator franchise, because that's what it is. It's aliens on Earth, and it's not that interesting.
Well, no matter who wins, we lose. It's one of my favorite.
The audience.
It's such a good tagline, though. I'm obsessed with it.
It is, yeah. And I'm to be clear, I'm not shitting on that first film because it's fun. It's just not. It's not like a great Alien or Predator film.
Spoiler alert! It kind of seems like that franchise might still be alive, while this one may be dead. So, Alien Resurrection, dead, over, it's done. Made a lot of money though. And so, of course, Fox was ready to move right into a fifth film. And in 1997, producer Tom Rothman went on record saying that Joss Whedon was ready to write the fifth film and that they were courting Sigourney Weaver and Winona Ryder to return with money, I'm assuming.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So Joss Whedon went on to say that if he did get a writing credit, which is how he phrased it, which is kind of sassy, I think, for Alien 5, the script would take place on Earth and be very different from the other films. I forget what he said exactly, but he went on record saying that, people think that they didn't do his script justice, but in his opinion, his whole script was there. They just made every possible wrong decision, in the production department.
I do remember that.
Oof.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of sour, though. It's like, okay, let's just try to respect each other's work. Okay. One of the rumored titles for that Alien 5 was going to be Alien Revelation. And do you feel like there's about 30 different sequel titles in the bag in Hollywood that they just select at random? Revelation and Resurrection being two of those titles.
Oh man, it's
what is this marketing?
Somebody just has a giant hat on a table that has 20 slips of paper, and they're all just marked Revelation, Revolution,
Homecoming.
Yeah, it's not.
There's got to be a reason. It's obviously these are words that people attracted to or something. But
buzzy.
It's so weird. Yeah, buzzy. Revelation, yeah. What was the big revelation? Was it Matrix Revelations? Was that the movie that came out?
Correct, yes. No, Revolution.
Oh, close enough. Same thing. What was Alien 2? Oh, Reloaded. That's terrible.
Yeah.
They're all R's, too.
They are.
Right?
I don't know.
Yeah. I think about this a lot, so maybe that's a new podcast. Sigourney Weaver was on record saying that she absolutely was not into the idea of going back to Earth. And there was no Twitter back in the day, so Joss Whedon eventually kind of replied in an interview saying that he was no longer interested in working on other people's IPs, which is so funny because that's kind of all he did post Firefly, and he had so much success with the Marvel IPs.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder if this is either you know what, my stance has softened now that I've been in the game longer, and like he's a proper filmmaker now. So I wonder if part of it was that as a script writer, he had an idea of how it would turn out, and when it didn't look like how he envisioned he would do it, he was disappointed. And then maybe after a while, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of understand now that I'm in the game and directing my own gigs.
Yeah, and like being allowed to direct too.
And also, I mean, yeah, like in a way, he kind of got to come back and make the types of movies he wanted to do as a screenwriter, only he was given even more money. So
much money.
He was probably like, oh, cool. Yeah, give me tons of money and let me play in this sandbox with other people's IP. I'm fine now.
Yeah, and I think he's a big nerd when it comes to comic books. So
yes.
I kind of feel like when he got a Marvel property, that was like, what was the first? I think it started off with Wonder Woman. That was the first like thing he got attached to way before Avengers happened.
Well, he wrote a script treatment for it that DC ultimately passed on. But yeah, like a lot of people were hoping that he was going to do it. He wrote a X-Men series of graphic novels. So that kind of got him into the world of superheroes as well.
Is that Marvel X-Men?
At the time, it would have been Fox. But the comics that he was writing were technically Marvel properties.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting.
It's the confusing thing with like studios, right? And of course, it's gotten easier now that Marvel and Disney own Fox.
I know, which we're going to get into as well later, because people were scared that when Disney took over, that Alien was going to be left out to dry, but I don't think that's the case.
We might have to disagree. Okay.
Oh, you think it is going to be left out to dry?
I 100% think it is, yeah.
No, that's so sad. But it's going to make so much money. Why would they do that?
Because Disney's dumb, man.
Yeah, that's true. House of Mouse, get it together. Question, do you think that like they're afraid of like horror or violent properties, or do they just not really want to deal with something unless it's a for sure hit?
I think both, to be honest. I think they know what is well within their wheelhouse, but I think they're also driven by things like SEO and metrics. So they look at it and they're like, okay, it's not a Marvel, it's not a Star Wars, it's not a Pixar. I can't sell it to Hulu because it's like too adult. So I'm not going to make it. Like The New Mutants is a perfect example of the wet feet kind of approach they have to mature content, but especially horror.
Definitely got its own episode of Development Hell.
Oh my God.
Never seen it, but I feel like it's just such a quintessential movie that I feel so bad for it.
No, there's lots of stuff there.
Although I don't know how I feel about Josh Boone, to be honest. I feel like we're giving him a lot of chances. Is this the guy that made it? I feel like it is. I feel like
it's Josh Boone.
I don't know. I make something good. I'm very worried about The Stand.
Yeah, that'll be a litmus test.
Just how not good does that look? I have to say, like, if you tell me it looks good, I'll reconsider. But I'm scared.
I think the cast looks good.
Okay, really? Okay, yeah, you're right. Oh, James, whatever his last name is, I see for that character 100%. And I want to root for Amber Heard. I have my reasons, but I'm rooting for her. I'm sorry.
That's another. Okay, you know what? Too many polarizing figures. Talk to me about James Cameron.
Okay. Years pass, and then all of a sudden, James Cameron comes out of the woodwork, director of Aliens, in case you don't know. And he spoke to the BBC about potentially returning to the franchise. He discussed the possibility of working with Arnold Schwarzenegger, of all people, and having Sigourney return. Yeah, okay, so thoughts on Arnold Schwarzenegger in an Alien film? You say no?
Absolutely not. Because the problem is the minute you put Arnold into this, it's going to become Terminator versus Alien.
Or where's the Predator at also, you know?
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that, but absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, because it's your franchise more than it is mine, I'm going to fully respect that and say I agree with you.
I mean, it's the kind of thing where you can understand why they would say this is a good idea, because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's going to bring in butts to seats, right?
Oh, for sure.
But I just think it's the wrong kind of personality for this franchise.
For sure. Also, I don't need a leading man in this franchise.
No, absolutely not.
Which is something... I guess the Alien Covenant had a leading woman again, which I have not seen. But
yes.
Does Prometheus was it a lead male or a lead woman?
It's Noomi Rapace, so...
Oh, okay. Excellent casting, actually. that didn't happen, obviously. And it was around this time that Mr. Ridley Scott had directed Nicolas Cage and Matchstick Men, and he told a magazine back then that he thought Nicolas Cage would have been a good fit for the franchise as well.
Jesus.
I can see it. I can see it. I don't think he shouldn't be the lead, obviously, but you can't see him in space getting murdered by a big alien.
I mean, I could see him as a kind of Ron Perlman from Alien Resurrection,
Yeah.
larger than life character, but particularly the evolution of Nick Cage as, I dare say, actor into caricature at this point. Maybe back in late 90s, sure. But when they were talking about making Alien 5, 100% no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I am not a Nicolas Cage fan, like I think a lot of people may be, but that zaniness, I just kind of feel like I can kind of buy it to some degree, although I don't want a dude leading any of these films.
No.
His recent like horror stuff has made me think like maybe. Did you see Color Out of Space?
I did. I have a weird relationship with it because I saw it at TIFF, and
I did too.
So I don't know if you went to the Midnight Madness screening.
I did, yeah.
So I had a lot of trouble with that because I do think he's giving a decent performance, but the way the audience received it was they were howling with laughter at every serious beat.
Yeah, that's what we're doing to him now.
Yeah, and the problem is, though, like, that's what he brings to films now. So if you wanted to make a serious film, you can't cast Nicolas Cage in it anymore.
No, you can't. And obviously Elijah Wood is listening, so he should take note. How is that not Barbara Crampton? I was like pretty sure it was Barbara Crampton in that movie, and it just wasn't. And that's my biggest problem with it. Put her in more stuff.
Put her in more good stuff.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen her in anything good since like You're Next, but I haven't actually been watching what she's doing.
Yeah, she does a lot of DTV.
Yeah, it was kind of her shtick. Even when she was younger, that was kind of the thing that she was up to. What was that haunted house movie she made a couple years ago? Like We Are Still Here or something? Does that sound familiar?
Oh, that one's actually really good.
Yeah, that one was good. Also, like, she's this is objectifying, but there's a certain like trope of like mature, like hot lady that I'm obsessed with. You know, like a Connie Britton or like,
oh yeah,
even like I think it's all gay guys are probably into that. But
you like a horror MILF, I get it.
Oh yes, I love them. Alien 5. Didn't happen. No one wanted it, or I guess like people did want it, but it just didn't happen. And then of course Alien versus Predator hit the scene with Mr. Paul W.S. Anderson, and that really stopped all questions of a Alien 5 canon sequel. At that point, we're gonna jump a little bit into the Neill Blomkamp potential Alien 5. Who is this Neill Blomkamp person? I need to know.
All right. So he hails from South Africa, but he has been living in Canada for quite some time. And he, again, it's like kind of a bit of a wonder kid. So he really burst onto the scene when he made District 9, which, got him even Oscar success to a certain degree. But his background is in animation and short films, commercials. So he's actually kind of perfect for the Alien films, because if you look at like Fincher and even Jeanette to a certain extent, like their background is in these smaller kind of passion projects. So the thing that really got Blomkamp on the map was he made a Halo short in 2007, or a couple of shorts. And people were like, oh my God, hire this guy for everything, but specifically to make a Halo movie. Mm-hmm. That could also be another episode, because that shit never came together.
Just crazy, because that was like the biggest video game ever released. Where is the movie?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what it is they couldn't crack it as a feature, which is one of the reasons why the shorts do so well, is because it's just a couple of minutes. So you can sell everything that game has to offer in bite-sized packages.
Offensive, maybe.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
It's the power of shorts.
Okay.
So if nothing else, the shorts did get him this attention by Peter Jackson. So, re-enter Peter Jackson onto the scene.
I know.
And that Halo film was potentially going to come, but it never really came about. And instead we end up with District 9, which Neill Blomkamp wrote with his wife, Terry Tatchell. And so as I mentioned, they got Oscar buzz for it. It was a huge commercial hit. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's really like it's very sad and very like insightful in a package that looks like a big action movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially in a post-Trump world, talking about the themes of like illegal aliens and
Yeah.
just and like apartheid and discrimination against people that are different. Like at the time it hit, but now it's like it's very, very heavy stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I think if you compare like this film to his to Jeanette's work on if you compare, what Resurrection came to be and what a Blomkamp number 5 could have been, you can see District 9 as like, oh my god, yeah, he's got control of space and aliens and weird character beats and that sort of thing. Like even Chappie, which is the film that he would end up working with Sigourney Weaver on, which is kind of how Alien 5 starts to come together in this alternate reality. It's still very... So I hate Chappie.
Oh.
I think it has a great look and the movie is insufferable.
I have not seen it, so tell me more. I'm interested in this negative opinion, to be honest.
So part of it is that the film takes as its central characters, they're like a rock punk group in real life, but they're musicians.
Oh yeah, Die Antwoord.
Yeah, and they're absolutely atrocious actors. And
that's so funny. Okay.
So it's just kind of not enjoyable to watch these people who are not good at a particular craft try to do something.
Do you remember when they came out in like 2009 with that Enter the Ninja song? Does that sound familiar to you? They're very weird, and I can't imagine that they were good actors.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like he's like, I think one of the issues that people have, or maybe this is just me projecting, one of the issues I have with Neill Blomkamp is that his films all feel derivative of District 9. Like he had this one great idea, this one big success, and he's been chasing it ever since. Because the one that he made with Matt Damon is also kind of terrible, but they all look good.
Or something? Yeah.
So part of it is, I think we want him to succeed because we like his visual eye, but his storytelling is not always great. So to then put him into Alien is like, oh, okay, well, this would ground him to a certain degree.
That's like, I feel like that's like the darkest timeline for a filmmaker, to like break out in the scene, have something amazing, and then to never be able to succeed on that level again. That's, yeah. Well, you never know. Maybe he needed that Alien 5. Maybe that's what threw him off base.
Oh, absolutely. It's entirely possible.
But yeah. What is Chappie about? Do you remember?
So Chappie is about a robot. I want to say it's a police robot, but it might just be like a factory robot that has a kind of sentience, and it gets programmed to be part of a resistance.
Oh my god, WALL-E.
Yeah, it's basically, a lot of people actually called it a live action WALL-E.
Oh, really? Oh no.
And the whole thing is like, it eventually comes to have a heart and it wants to protect these Die Antwoord people. And yeah, it's a whole thing.
Oh, that's too bad. South Africa needs, I guess, a different musical icon duo to put in movies.
Yeah, that could be helpful.
It is kind of cool that like this is how he teamed up with Sigourney Weaver. I have this like vision that like he casted her just so he could like give the hard pitch for Alien 5.
I didn't even want to make this movie originally, but I needed a way to get into contact with Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah. Who seems to be making at least interesting film choices all along the way, you know?
Oh, yeah.
For someone that's like A-list, super hot, movie star, like, she makes some weird shit.
You have to think that she would have her choice of productions at this point, because like she's not just trotting out to work with just old anybody. So
no. I get the sense from the research that I did that like her and Joss Whedon are not best friends, but then she was in Cabin in the Woods, so maybe they are best friends,
Yeah, because I have no idea how she ended up in that movie, but of course he did co-screenwrite that. So
yeah, but I guess he didn't direct it or do anything else. So
no,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
the Drew Goddard. So
very Buffy season 6. Are you a Buffy person?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, good. Me too. What do you think about season 6?
I actually really like season 6. It's just, it's not a satisfying season when you look at how the other ones come together. Like, it's really dark, and people don't like that. They don't want dark Buffy.
Yeah, I don't think part of what rattled me at the time was like not even the darkness, but like the darkness in the sense of like seeing her have to get a day job. Like
Oh,
seeing
yeah.
Buffy work a
Fast
job
food. Oof.
was way darker than her mom dying, in my opinion. Like that was the real darkness of life that I'm not sure I needed in Buffy.
Well, yeah, because I mean, being a Slayer doesn't pay the bills.
But it should. We need to reallocate funds from the police to the Slayers.
There we go. Yeah. Make Slayers essential workers and pay them a living
Yes.
wage.
Yes. All Slayers are good. Actually, that's not true. Some are bad.
This is true. Yeah.
Some are really, really bad. So now we know who Neill Blomkamp is. I hope I say his name right. I am not sure. I get really insecure every time I have to say it.
Oh, one of the fun things about podcasting is realizing you're just going to say things wrong all the time, and the internet will correct you.
No, they don't. They're too nice. Actually, they don't want to hurt my feelings. I think so.
Oh, okay.
That's my relationship with the internet.
Well, I am jealous of you.
Yeah. Well, hopefully one day I get to the point where people are calling me out and canceling me.
Oh my god.
Because if they do a little bit of Googling, I'm sure they could figure out why. Okay, so Neill Blomkamp's Alien. This is why we're here. This is what this whole episode is centered around, because it was so cool seeming. On New Year's Day 2015, which is like a pretty iconic day to do any kind of indie releasing, Mr. Neill self-released some artwork commissioned by Ty Ruben Ellingson for a spec Alien 5 concept. So he got all of this incredible spec art done by this really cool artist that he works with, and he just released it to the internet. He had no contract with Fox.
No.
He had no connections with anyone other than, I believe, Sigourney at the time. And this was just like a very ballsy move to sort of put his hat in the ring.
I love that you said ballsy, because that's 100%. I was like, man, the brass and the largesse of these. Yes. This is like, okay, internet, I have an outlet that I can just flood with content and be like, hey, don't you think this is great? Petition me to get this job.
How long it would have taken to get that meeting otherwise, right? And this is before... I'm guessing this is a little bit before like Twitter took over. Oh no, 2015. I am wrong. Okay, yeah, it was just something that he did, and it really worked out. So, and you have to check out, not you, but anyone listening needs to check out these concept pieces of art. We're gonna add the link in the show notes, because they are like, if they're heartbreaking, you're gonna see them and you're gonna like.
Yeah, you immediately are like, I want to see this movie. Please give it to me right now.
Immediately. Like you all the way through 2020, you were brave and like bad stuff was happening, but you were like holding it together. You're gonna see these. You're gonna have a complete breakdown, and you're welcome.
Yeah, this will be what breaks you.
This is gonna be what does it. The film is gonna be, I don't know if I love or I hate this word because I keep using it, a recalibration of the franchise. So you hate it? I remember when they were using that term for a horror movie. Oh yeah, the Halloween franchise. At one point, they were calling it a recalibration.
God, yes, of course they would use it for the Halloween
and
franchise.
Not the Blumhouse one. The one before like Halloween Returns, which is right before they mentioned
Resurrection.
I know Halloween Resurrection is another one too. That poor franchise. Which I have a lot about to say as well, and of course, you'll have heard that by the time this comes out. So they were going to retcon Alien 3 and Alien 4, which was very ahead of the times Blumhouse, which I hate. I see the benefit of retconning bad sequels, but I just kind of feel like it's so disrespectful. And you can ignore sequels without having to take out the big eraser and like change history, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because in some ways you say, okay, well, we've accrued too much baggage. This just allows us to get away from that and tell a simple story that we think is compelling and will bring people back. But at the same time, yeah, it does definitely feel disrespectful to say, oh, that hard work that other people did, we consider it garbage. We're just going to wipe it away.
I made Chappie, but David Fincher, fuck you. Like, okay,
exactly. Yeah.
I don't think so. But it did look incredible. The art was online. People freaked out, even though Fox had really nothing to do with it at the time. But this pitch seemed to work because not long after that, Neill was hired by Fox and eventually announced via Twitter that Alien 5 was going to be his next film.
Yes.
Very inspiring for the filmmakers out there.
So excited.
I know, but don't get too excited because it's going to flop.
Yeah.
20th Century Fox did officially announce that they were going to greenlight the project, but even back in the day, they made sure to talk about how it was a completely different entity than Prometheus, which was in development or in release at the time, which is sort of the cursed production that would destroy this version of Alien.
And it's kind of funny because in theory, it could have worked, right? Because Prometheus is ultimately revealed to be a prequel. And you think, oh, well, that doesn't change the timeline. So we could still be building out the back half of this with Alien 5. And instead it's like, no, you only get one.
You see, but even using the word timeline in like 2015 to now is just like, oh, we don't do that anymore.
No.
Like in the 90s and I guess the 80s, I feel like these franchises were so respectful to these timelines. Like even the Halloween movies, as crazy and bad as they got, like you could tell someone had like a big Bristol board and they were holding on to what had happened. And I feel like now we just drop everything.
Right. Yeah. I was going to try to challenge you on that. And then I'm like, no, because even in Nightmare on Elm Street, they forget convenient parts that they don't really want to touch on, but they don't try to erase them. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, we are going to keep Freddy as a child murderer. Oh, okay, yeah, he is also going to be a pedophile. Oh, yeah, he was birthed from like rape. Oh, yeah, it was 1,000 people who raped his mom.
Yeah, here's my question. So his dad was one person or his dad was 100 people? Because if his dad was 100 people, I don't understand how that happened.
Yeah, I think medically you can only have one father, but it makes for a much more scandalous tale if you say it's 100 convicted criminals.
And a little bit more H.R. Geiger, a little bit more sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like, what's the science behind that? I don't actually want to know.
Oh God, I just pictured like competing Freddy's sperm now.
Actually, it sounds very Freddy's dead, actually.
Or
like it's going to be like claymated. And
or Seed of Chucky, yeah.
Oh, Seed of Chucky. That keeps coming up on this podcast, and I need to rewatch it because how do I feel about it? I don't know. John Waters was in it, apparently. So
he is, cool. No, it is fun and stupid and very campy. So if you like camp, it's a good one for you.
I mean, I love camp, but my favorite of those movies are when they got scary again with Curse of Chucky. I'm like obsessed with Curse of Chucky.
Yeah, this one's emphatically not scary.
No, I saw it in theaters with my dad. Alien 5 was considered to be called, I believe, Red Harvest was a title back in the day, but also Awakening was also a title back in the day, which is another one of those titles that is just like thrown around willy-nilly Billy.
I remember Awakening, not Red Harvest.
Oh, I feel like Red Harvest may have been like a fake name, like a reference to something else in the franchise that put on the thing. I love like fake production names for things. I never remember what they are, but they're always so silly. So Sigourney and Neill heavily promoted this concept that they were working together on Alien 5 during their Chappie promotional tour together, which was, again, pretty brave considering, like, Hollywood is very finicky and things fall through the cracks all the time. So it's kind of like you don't want to announce that pregnancy until, I don't know, second trimester. That was a bad metaphor, but ultimately it works.
Yeah, don't announce the movie until the face hugger is firmly on.
Yes, because, until then you have to... Yeah, exactly. So further artwork appeared on Instagram that was pretty cool. Some of that included the character Hicks, which people were really excited about because that's like a big fan favorite. Another fan favorite that was in the art was Newt, who was kind of killed off pre-Alien 3. So that would have been a really cool one to bring back if you're going to retcon Alien 3. And the artwork for Newt was really cool too. Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, Bain?
It's Bean.
Michael Bean.
Yeah.
Who played Hicks, made a social media update explaining that he would be returning for Alien 5.
Sure.
But that 20th Century Fox had actually put the breakers on the project as Ridley Scott finished making his sequel to Prometheus. So this is when things started to red flag.
Yeah, we get a little bumpy here.
It is getting bumpy. And the second I brought up Ridley Scott is, of course, when things are going to fall apart. Yeah. So Scott was announced to be the executive producer on the project. But he was going around in his own promotional tours for Covenant saying that it wasn't likely to happen. So that's weird because everyone else is saying, yes, this is going to happen. Sigourney Weaver talked a little bit about what the plot would have been up to. And we learned that we were going to learn a little bit about the backstory on the xenomorphs, what they're up to, what their evolution is doing, like what do they want. We wanted to know.
Yeah, I gotta admit that's kind of the other big storyline that people want, like take us to the alien homeworld, which of course is actually what Prometheus ended up doing, and Covenant as well to a lesser degree. But it's just that's also a bit of a storytelling chasm for me. Like I don't really care to know more about the xenomorphs. Like
yeah,
they're alien. I don't need to know about their thought process.
Yeah, Rob Zombie Halloween remake. I don't need to know why he kills people.
Yeah.
It makes it less scary.
It always makes it less scary. Yeah. And you're never going to satisfy everybody. So ultimately, you're just setting yourself up to disappoint part of your audience.
It's still kind of cool. Like, I think I'd like to see that in maybe a graphic novel because that would be gross and like bonkers.
It's entirely possible it's been handled because I know there has been a successful line of Alien comics throughout like all of these fallow periods.
I love all of these like weird horror franchises that get their own comics.
Oh yeah,
and I'm sure some of them are amazing. I have not played Alien Isolation. I think was the big video game.
I heard it's very scary.
That's what I hear, and I have a hard time with scary video games. They really get to me. So
because apparently, like you can't even fight; you just have to hide.
Oh, I like that because fighting's scary. That was what I did a lot in the Friday the 13th video game. I was a hider.
Oh, okay.
But he can get you.
Yeah.
He'll get you.
Oh yeah, they always get you.
I loved that game. Joe, why do you think this Alien 5 did not occur?
So Fox is marketing Ridley Scott's Prometheus sequel as Alien Covenant. So all of a sudden Alien is back in the title. Because that was one of the issues people had with Prometheus is that it didn't have Alien. And it was like, how are audiences going to know that it's an Alien film if you don't have that in the title? Because we're apparently all stupid. So at this point, Scott is starting to downplay his role. And he's like, no, I'm not really involved in this at all. And he's even, as you said, he's kind of like publicly undermining it. So we've got a PR war brewing between these two parties. So he's out there talking about Alien Covenant. He's like, I don't understand why we need these other sequels. Like, I'm making definitive sequels. These are all going to connect. And people were like, why do we need them? So he gets increasingly more sour in these interviews as he's going around. And even though he's meant to be the EP of this fucking movie, he's basically saying, no, you can only have one. And I'm making one of them. So clearly we know which one he's aligning his horse to. So the other issue is that there's an inference that there is no script for Alien 5. So even if you wanted to make it, you couldn't because Ridley Scott is saying there's no script. So there's nothing to shoot. And on the other side of this divide, both Neill Blomkamp and Sigourney Weaver are saying like, no, there's a script. We're working on it. We've seen it, whatever. So a little bit more concept art gets leaked in September of 2017. And this is like, oh, sorry. Yes, okay. So more concept art gets leaked in September of 2017, although it's also at this point that Neill Blomkamp says, you know what, this is only concept art and the project is now dead. I'm probably not going to make this movie.
Yeah, this is like 2 years since he initially released the first.
Yeah, which is very, I think it was very frustrating for a lot of audiences because they kept doing this dance where they would say, no, it's coming. Like, no, we're working on it. Really, it is going to happen. And then all of a sudden it's like, here's one last little dribble. Also, I'm not doing this. And everybody's like, well, what have you been doing for the last 2 years?
I know. And Sigourney was like, we're doing this, which is like, okay, so if Sigourney is saying it, I'm going to buy it.
It makes me kind of think that they never actually did get past that point. Like, people were talking about it. I don't think that there was like a contract. Like, I don't think that script did get written. And maybe Sigourney was being gaslit, or like she was probably having conversations and being like, so you're getting this down, right? I'm going to see pages. And it's like, no.
Yeah, I think so too. Or like maybe they saw the success they had with just releasing that art into the world. So maybe they were thinking, well, if we just keep talking about it, maybe we'll get it made.
Yeah.
No.
So basically, as of September of 2017, the project is officially dead. The director himself is saying it's not going to happen, but he's always been a little bit shy about talking about it publicly. So he'll talk about how he still respects Ridley Scott. He's Scott is one of his biggest heroes. And he doesn't ever actually say like, oh, Ridley Scott totally killed this. But he has said it's like emotionally complicated for him. So the reality is that Ridley Scott totally torpedoed this movie because he was too invested in making Alien Covenant and a potential third Alien film. And sadly, that's why it didn't happen.
If you look at Prometheus, and I don't know about Covenant, but I'm just going to guess, it doesn't seem like he really wanted to be making like strictly alien films. I feel like he wanted to make alien adjacent films and wasn't so interested in revisiting the xenomorph. In fact, I think he went on record saying that this franchise like didn't need the xenomorph anymore because we can't be scared by it anymore.
Yeah, it's complicated because when you watch Covenant, you can see that it almost feels like he's kowtowing to pressure that there wasn't enough alien in Prometheus, because there is more. Like there's proper xenomorphs, but
they really market it as such.
Yeah, but he is emphatically more interested in Michael Fassbender's character David and the AI.
Very interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
was there some queer stuff in Covenant?
Yes, indeed there
is. I don't remember there being queer stuff in Prometheus other than the overall vibe.
There is a queer couple in that film, but all of the supporting couples are boring and one-dimensional.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
And why didn't she just run to the side?
the Lincoln question no one can answer.
Yeah, so this is sad and dead and not gonna happen. So that leads me to ask, what's next? What's going on? What are we gonna do about it? Mm-hmm. We talked about earlier this Disney merger that happened, a couple of years ago now, and it has fans worried that the franchise lost priority under the supervision of the big mouse. Mm-hmm. We were going to disagree about this, so what were you gonna say?
Oh, so you seem to suggest that you didn't think Disney was going to bury this because they'll see the money. And I don't disagree that they can see the dollar signs in it, but I think they also realize that there's easier ways to make money, and that's basically spandex. I'm still okay with them. It's one of those things where you wonder why Disney went to the effort to buy 20th Century Fox if they're then not going to activate their most vital pieces of IP. Like, don't put Alien back in the vault. There's clearly still an interested audience for this. It's just that those Ridley Scott films didn't fit the bill.
It's about merchandising and the Kingsman. Well, in 2019, at something called CinemaCon, which I had not heard of, but I'm assuming is a big deal, Fox executive Emma Watts name-checked Alien along Avatar and other properties that were going to be continued at Disney under 20th Century Fox. Is that, to be believed? We're going to have to wait and see.
Yeah.
In March 2019, people may remember that a high school in New Jersey did an adaptation of Alien called Alien the Play, which was actually
amazing.
It looked so good. I also loved the title, Alien the Play, like get to it. I imagine that's what they actually call the next film.
It's so funny. It has a budget of $500.
Yeah, and it's amazing. And it was really widely praised. Ridley Scott, James Cameron, and Sigourney Weaver all kind of talked about it because they were probably all just excited that the franchise was, in the zeitgeist again, even just a little bit.
It's so cute too.
It's so cute, and also I love the arts. Gotta support it. Yeah. Unconfirmed rumors are out there that the story was maybe going to be incorporated into the next film, but there's just no way that's the case.
Absolutely not.
Although that kid, whoever wrote that, is probably 29 now and is ready to make their debut.
This is my ticket. He's already moved to Los Angeles, right?
Shane Black, the director of The Predator, which came out not long ago, has gone on record saying that Alien versus Predator, the franchise, is still in development, and that both studios are actually interested in making it, which makes me think that he may be in consideration for making it. Did you see The Predator?
I did see The Predator, and I didn't like whole sections of it, which is really disappointing to me because it's him who I've loved a lot of Shane Black's work, and then Fred Dekker from like quintessential like Night of the Creeps. Fred Dekker, they co-wrote that
Whoa.
script, and it's not good.
No way. It looked interesting. I like that it had a TIFF premiere.
Yeah, I mean it's very much a crowd pleaser. It doesn't
Uh-huh.
feel like it was willing to take risks. The characters are pretty garbage, but like a lot of the action is actually okay. And it clearly, again, suffered from some studio interference because like it's
Mhm.
edited in a weird way where you're like, oh, there's shit missing from this.
Yeah, like what happened?
Hmm.
A lot of people would call him the kid from Room, but I'm brave enough to call him the kid from Doctor Sleep. Was in it,
Yes, he is.
and that's all I know. And he died really badly in Doctor Sleep.
He
I was not.
did.
I did not see that coming. What did you think about Doctor Sleep?
Oh, that is a contentious piece, and
I have to know.
I'll redirect people to the Horror Course Patreon because Trace and I like nearly broke our friendship over that movie.
Okay, wait. So who was on what side? You have to tell me.
I was on the I don't love Doctor Sleep side.
Okay, I hated it. I
Oh, okay.
absolutely hated it. Me and my friend Emily saw it in theaters, and we were like, "How is this so bad?" And then the whole horror community was just
Yeah,
like
they love it.
absolutely obsessed with it, and we were appalled and disturbed that that
Yeah.
was the case. So I'm happy to hear you're on the right side of history.
It's definitely one of those ones where you kind of mumble it under your breath if you don't like it because you're worried about
Yeah,
getting booted out.
I know Hereditary. Just kidding. I don't know how I feel about Hereditary.
Ouch. Okay.
No, Hereditary is good. Hereditary is good. Is it? I don't
Wow.
know.
Wow, Josh. Wow.
I don't know. Okay, I lie about Hereditary a lot, so I don't know what to say about it.
You know what? If you truly believe something, you need to have the conviction to stand up for that, but also you better have a damn good argument.
I hate cults. Okay,
Okay.
get rid of. Actually, that's not true because I loved Midsummer, but I don't know if I loved it because of cults. I don't know.
Hmm.
I loved it because of that opening scene, which forever changed me. I think.
Okay, we're gonna have to send you to horror therapy. You've got some issues to work out.
Okay, I'd love to go to horror therapy. Have you heard about this horror therapy podcast called Psychoanalysis?
Yeah. Former guest on Horror Queers, Jen Ferradu, is one of the
Oh,
co-hosts.
Jen.
Yeah, she's
I'm obsessed
lovely.
with her. I've never heard her podcast, but I've heard her on other podcasts, and she seems cool.
She is great, and she has a great Twitter follow, by the way. If people aren't following her on
Oh.
Twitter, she's really good.
Okay, I'm gonna have to follow her immediately. Yeah, she's obsessed with Stephen King, and she's on a
Hmm.
Stephen King podcast that I like. So,
Yes. Yeah.
is this movie gonna get made? Because I think something that this podcast needs to swerve to is like this whole we get to decide, are these movies getting made or not? Like it's in our
Oh.
hands.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's responsibility.
Right.
And I'm gonna start off soft by saying, like, probably not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a probably not. That's okay. You get like 2 words to say if it's gonna get made or not. What do you say?
I'm gonna say maybe.
Oh, definitive. Not at all the opposite
No.
of definitive.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So there are plenty of ways Disney could be developing a new
Something.
Alien franchise
Yeah.
or a new Alien project. I with like the way that genre movies are made today, it seems very improbable that it's going to be like in canon to anything. Absolutely, it's going to be a reboot, and I bet you dollars to donuts. I've never said that before, but I might keep saying it.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. Dollars to donuts that they're just going to call it Alien,
Yeah.
a la Halloween 2018 or Scream 2021, which I called Emily, by the way. If you're listening,
Wow.
I put money on that. So, which I hate. Like, if you're gonna remake it or reboot it, don't have the same cast. I'm so confused.
Okay, well, that's a whole other podcast.
It's yeah.
But I
And
agree with you about the naming. They will 100% keep it as basic as possible. And part of that is because they're trying to go after more than just the horror audience, but we're the ones who will get very upset about it.
Oh yeah, but we're gonna pay money anyways.
Absolutely.
So
They
like,
already know they've got
fuck
us.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, and they do.
Mhm.
So, oh well for us.
Mhm.
Fans have been really excited for this Alien 5, and Disney might like have their ear to the ground about that and might like placate to fans. Like there's a small chance.
Yeah.
So like maybe that's where the maybe lies.
Yeah.
But then again, Ridley Scott sounds like a sour diva, and I don't think he's here for it.
Yeah,
so.
she needs to back off this franchise.
Yeah. Even though her name is very close to Ripley. So, like, was that on
Right.
purpose? I need to know. Yeah, she's pissed. And when nerds are pissed, they're going to stay pissed. But, oh well.
I mean, what's interesting too is that people got very excited when Ridley Scott came back to the franchise because I think they thought that it was going to be the retcon that we're now again talking about. And then those films didn't deliver, and now we all kind of want Ridley Scott to back off so that we can just get a new entry.
Who would you give this to?
Who would I give this to?
Who would you give the new Alien film to?
I would be super controversial. People would fucking hate it, but I would give it to Rian Johnson.
Oh, why is that's controversial? Because people didn't like the last
Jedi.
Jedi?
Yeah.
But didn't they realize that they did like it after they saw Knives Out and that they were just being picky?
No, well, non-Star Wars fans, yes. Star Wars fans who are like...
I remember being like, I'm not a Star Wars fan. This seems just as good as the rest of them to me, but maybe I don't know.
Well, you like women and people of color, so that and this is not to like pass judgment on all Star Wars fans, but there was a very vocal minority who was like, "Where are the men? How come women are making decisions?" And it's like, well,
there were so many men in that movie.
Back to the 40s because that's when men were in power. It's not your time. Stand off.
Oh my God, can I stay here though? Because I'm Jewish and we didn't do so good back then. So
right, yeah, no, you stay here, and we're gonna send like white straight dudes back to the 40s.
Okay, are you Jewish? I have to ask because your last name has me wondering.
I am not.
Well, you're blonde, right?
I am.
That dissuaded me, but the last name could have been. So, not to say I like you any less. Not to say that I don't, though, so it's hard to say. So we're both on a maybe, which is better than some of the other films on this podcast has covered, which have gotten hard nose. Halloween 3D, never going to happen.
No.
Which is, I don't know if it's too bad or not. Whatever, that's a different episode.
I like interesting failures. So part of this is like, I think the problem is that if we come back to the discussion that started all of this about science fiction and horror, is that it's always a risky financial proposition, but then it's expensive as fuck. Like, it's hard to make a $20 million space movie and do it well.
What about Leprechaun 4?
Josh, what about Leprechaun 4?
Wasn't that a $20 million space movie?
It looks like it was made out of cardboard boxes.
It really does. It so does. It looks, it kind of reminds me of the Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh God, yes.
I actually saw it for the first time very, very, very recently.
I mean, it's a hoot and a half, but it's not a good movie, and it looks cheap.
It's so bad. Yeah, I like that it exists, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Everything should exist. Everything should be given a chance. But unfortunately, we live in a day and age where I don't know if the appetite from audiences for a new Alien film is enough to convince somebody like Disney, who is only willing to now invest in certain types of projects, to pull the trigger and greenlight something. Like noted narcissist Jason Blum would love to have ownership of the Alien franchise.
Oh, of course he would. Although they don't do sci-fi, so maybe...
No.
Although I guess Happy Death Day 2 Me was fairly sci-fi. So.
It's getting there, yeah.
I didn't love it. I loved the first one so much, though. So...
I think you just have to recognize that the second one is playing in a very different genre sandbox.
Yes, and I wasn't ready.
I wasn't ready either. Mostly because of the marketing. I still blame the marketing. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation.
Absolutely it is. Well, thank you so much, Joe. This was so fun, for me at least. And I feel like now we have definitive answers to all of our questions.
Yeah, this is absolutely maybe happening.
So you're internet famous. Can you tell everyone where they can find you on the internet these days?
Yes. If you would like to follow my own personal stuff, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @BeStillMyRemote. And if you're interested in Horror Queers, the podcast I co-host with Trace Thurman, you can find us at Horror Queers.
Well, thank you again. This was so fun, and I hope I talk to you again someday soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening. And if you could do me a favor of subscribing and liking and telling a friend about this new podcast, that would be really cool. And I hope you keep listening. and we'll be back with another episode of Development Hell.